Hello, welcome to another episode of Playing Telephone. I'm Scarlett Sanchez.
I'm Dennis Kluba.
How are you?
I'm good. We hadn't seen each other in a while, so I felt like tonight we just caught up right before this episode. So
I know we missed each other.
We had a good catch up.
Yeah, as we needed.
We deserved it. We earned it.
You earned
we earned that catch up. Yeah.
It's okay. You've been avoiding me, so I had to be like, come on.
I'm avoiding you. We're just busy. We're trying to run a podcast. We're trying to have our normal lives. It's gets hectic. We're trying to keep track of all these other people's lives. It's difficult.
It is. I hear you on that.
God. And this just has me thinking this week of when are we going to start our memoirs?
The last thing I'm ever going to do is write a memoir about myself.
Really?
Just kidding. It's already in the works.
Yeah, I was gonna say, doesn't sound like you.
And the bombshells I have on you.
Oh my God.
There's
like a whole chapter dedicated to me, and I'm just gonna immediately come out and be like, not true.
Dear Dennis, the things you need to tell people.
Oh my God.
Exposed.
So basically what we're referring to though is short excerpts have been released from Britney Spears' new memoir, which we know was coming out.
Yeah.
And
still not out yet.
Needless to say, they're juicy.
They are juicy. I mean, everybody I feel like is like, take Britney's word
with a grain of
salt a little bit here.
Right.
But granted, she is dropping some bombshells. So the news came out that there was an audiobook too, where Britney Spears is only going to do the prologue, but then the actress Michelle Williams will do the rest. She's from Fabelmans, started off on Dawson's Creek. Yeah. So I think a lot of people were hoping that they would hear from Britney herself, but we'll just have to trust the words on the pieces of paper. Thank
God. She's not doing the audiobook.
British accents, a little bit of honestly, some singing maybe would have been cool. Could you imagine?
Knives clanging.
Oh no. Ding, ding. Yeah, so we'll just get to hear her do the prologue, which is cool. I think it's nice to at least hear her voice for a little bit. She's been wanting to tell her story ever since she's gotten out of this conservatorship. She was in for almost 14 years. So I think this is one memoir I can get behind to hear.
That you might buy it or you might listen. The audiobook, listen.
The thing is, it's so annoying because I get it. Media's got to do their job.
Right.
But dropping these bombshells before the book's even out, why would I read now?
But I mean, the idea I would think is these early excerpts are just enough to get you interested because there's even more in the book, right?
Is there?
I don't know. It's like a movie. If they show all the funniest parts during the trailer, then, it is what it is.
I don't like trailers because sometimes you see the entire sequence of events and it's like, oh, she dies at the end.
You don't like trailers. You like Travis and Taylor.
Yeah, I like that kind of trailer. Nice. But yeah, Jada Pinkett Smith and Britney Spears memoirs.
That's gonna be the heavy topic for the episode. Let's start with Britney Spears.
Yeah.
And the bombshells that were dropped. The biggest one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to even say, but you can say.
Okay, obviously the huge couple back in the day,
right,
was iconic. Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake. They dated from 1999 to 2002. They met on the Mickey Mouse Club with Ryan Gosling, Christina Aguilera. Iconic group of talented people that have gone on to do amazing things.
Right.
That's, to say the least.
Yeah.
Anyways, those two became friends. Justin said in a GQ interview before that instantly infatuated, instantly was into Britney Spears, which is weird because they were 10?
But I mean, also you have little crushes.
You have crushes. Yeah. True. That's true. But to say that that's going to be the love of your life forever, a little big. But anyways.
Yeah, I don't know if it probably wasn't a sexual thing, but it's more I really like that.
Okay, I think that was the problem I had. Infatuated.
Feels a little weird for 10-year-olds.
Sexualized.
But you could be I really always.
Yeah. Big crush.
Go on.
Anyways, though, so then they end up going public with a relationship in 99, which they're still really young in their teenage-ish years.
Yeah.
And I mean, instantly they were just a huge couple. They did the Super Bowl together with Aerosmith, NSYNC, Britney, Mary J. Blige, Nelly.
Yeah. It's 2001, I think.
Yeah, crazy Super Bowl. Obviously a ton of red carpets together. They were definitely the it couple.
Right.
You can't forget that denim matching set and a lot of other things.
The denim cowboy, yeah.
So essentially one of the big bombshells that's going to come out in Britney's memoir, which comes out October 24th. It's called Woman and Me.
Right around
Still
the
got
corner.
A little bit of time. Yeah, a little bit of time though.
I don't love that title. Woman and Me. I feel like it doesn't do a justice to what we're wanting to hear or what we may hear. But go on.
So the big bombshell
that
has been released is that Britney is going to talk about her relationship with Justin Timberlake. And the big thing, though, is she got pregnant while they were together in late 2000, so about a year after they were dating.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
She said, I mean, yeah, I think we trust her.
I think we can.
It's her.
Okay, that's true. But they decided they were too young to have the baby.
Right.
And they aborted it. So she had an abortion.
Right. And
at around 19 years old. So very young.
Very young. But also, the backstory on this whole thing is wild, right? Because at that time, we don't know this just came out, but at that time, the reason that they split up in 2001, 2002, I think you said, there was all this rumors about her cheating on Justin.
Right. She was really painted as the bad guy in their breakup.
Yes, she was. And now this is coming out, and what she says in the excerpt in the book, in the book that will come out on October 24th, is that she really, really struggled with that decision, understood that they were very young, but Justin was the one that was very adamant that he was not ready to be a father and that he was, they were too young.
Yeah.
Kind of painting him as the one that made more of that decision as opposed to her, right? That's what I got out of it.
Yeah, it definitely paints that picture because she said that she struggled with the decision and they decided together to mutually abort the child. Baby, But the way that I read it, though, I read it the same as you, that it seems like Justin was the one who was a little bit more adamant. Because she talks about still that it was the most agonizing decision that she's made in her entire life. Yeah. And years after, she really struggled with it, which is understandable because, young. Not just being young, but also knowing that you potentially could have had a baby. And she talks about her relationship with Justin too. She really saw that as her love of her life. And she thought that they were going to eventually have a family together, get married, whatever, do the whole life together. And so she really didn't have a problem with having his child. And it seemed like Justin was the one who really did not want to do that.
Yeah. My question for you, and I don't know if we'll hear more when the book comes out, is in that conversation, how, especially knowing we know about the conservatorship with Britney Spears, how many people were in that decision-making process from Justin's team, or, family, from Britney's family. We know that her father was very, hands-on with the conservatorship, managing her, especially when she was younger. I'm sure Justin's family or their manager was very, in that situation, and I don't know this, but how much do you think that was dictated by other people around them too that were like, hey, this will affect your, career, your legacy as well? I don't know.
In terms of control of her life, her conservatorship didn't start until 2008.
Okay.
So
before then.
Which was like 8 years later after she got pregnant, roughly. So I don't know if it was to the extreme that we saw with Jamie Spears controlling obviously her finances, her life decisions, her medicine, and more and more and more that went down in that conservatorship. But I'm sure there was some more behind the scenes. The way she describes it in the book, though, it seems like it was an intimate conversation between those two.
Those two.
Yeah. But again, only 19 years old. So I'm sure she got advice from her parents at some point. And I bet you Justin probably got advice from his too. And Britney Spears was blowing up I feel like a little bit more than he was. Obviously, he had NSYNC. But he was really on his come up where Britney had kind of already hit it. So I feel like it might have been a bigger deal if he had this quote unquote hurdle of the pregnancy. But
well, I think too, remembering the time, and we're going right towards it, is that both of them, Britney and Justin, like you said, were blowing it couple.
Yeah.
But then also they very much embodied this, like, I would say almost like the ideal couple for, like, they were very like almost like I would say what the public wanted them to be as far as like clean cut kids.
Pure values.
Yes, exactly. And both of them being from let me know if I'm wrong. I know Justin's originally from Tennessee, but I think Britney also had.
She's also from the South, yeah.
Yeah, from the South. So like, also they kind of
Louisiana?
had, something like that, ingrained in them this idea that they were these Christian kids growing up on the Mickey Mouse Club, all these different things. And they're still so young that their image really revolved around being that type of kid, I feel like. Yeah. And having a baby would have, outside of, they weren't married at this point or anything, would have been a big shock for people.
Yeah, it's like having a baby out of wedlock.
Yeah.
The fact that this was kept a secret, though, because technically having an abortion is way worse than having a baby out of wedlock, and the Christian values, what we're talking about. So,
can we also say too, like you just mentioned, the fact that it's been no one had an inkling of this, and for Britney, we know how much of her and Justin's life was, recorded, how much was distributed to the public through the media. For it to be as private that none of us knew is pretty remarkable at the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we know so much about her life, and it's like, that's wild.
And for her to finally be talking about this, I don't know what Justin's going to say about it, what Jessica Biel's going to feel about this. He's been outspoken about his pro-choice values in recent years, which I don't know if that's evident because of like how he felt during that time. But Britney definitely struggled with this, though. Because, obviously the infamous breakup song was Cry Me a River that he released in 2022.
So good. I'll always be a Justin and Britney stan.
Yeah. And you have the Britney Spears lookalike, which that blamed all of the cheating on her, right? And then she did Every Time a year later, and that everyone thought was her apology song, and semi-insinuated that maybe he also cheated on her. But now with these new abortion rumors, that seems more like a song to their unborn baby. Because in a lot of it, it was saying like, I'm sorry for doing this. I wish your face would disappear. And I really need you, baby. And like, obviously baby can be like a term of endearment for your partner, or babe or baby. But the way I started really looking into these lyrics, and a lot of fans were dissecting it too, because in the Every Time, I'm calling it the right song, right? Yeah. Every Time music video, she talks about, there's visuals where a baby's being born in the background, and people are thinking like that was kind of the result that she actually wanted, was to have the child.
I didn't go into this episode thinking that I would be emotionally, but like, I mean, all the stuff that was going on for them, her whole life, his whole life, that happened at such a young age. I mean, like, it just adds a whole nother layer and inside look. Because I think a lot of times we think with these memoirs, we're like, how much more are we going to find out? Mm-hmm. Like, are we just here to sell books or, whatever, make money? And it's just like, I just couldn't imagine being her. She was much bigger. And I think to this day, still, it's bigger than Justin. Mm-hmm. Even though they both have amazing careers. Yeah. But all the spotlight, and then you add this on top. I'm like blown away that we're hearing about this now, that it was kept a secret for so long, and all the above.
I mean, yeah, knowing that you could have potentially had this child, I think it's clear, not only in the music video, but the way she talks about how difficult of a decision it was for her. I can't imagine the sort of like turmoil that you feel after doing that. Because you think, you might think it's a right decision in that moment in time. Yeah, we are so young, like we aren't married or whatever. I don't think the marriage thing is a big part, but it's just, we don't know what our future holds. So maybe this is the right call in the moment. But I think in that music video and in her words that she wrote, it seems like she has a lot of regret towards it.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't ask what ifs, right? But then I naturally go down the rabbit hole of, you look at the what if of, because we know what happened afterwards. Justin goes on now, is renewing his vows with Jessica Biel, 10 years of married together. But then obviously Britney has had, different relationships with different partners.
Federline, where she had her two kids, Sean Preston and Jaden James, and Sam Asghari, which they wanted to have kids, but they didn't end up having children. But yeah.
But you're also in everything that happened with the conservatorship. You just wonder. I mean, 2002, this had to be a huge part of them breaking up. I'm sure it was a huge, burden on both of them emotionally, and the decision to do it. You just wonder what that life would have looked like.
Yeah.
You can't do the what ifs, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, but
how would she?
I think that's what she contemplated too. What if?
Yeah. Golly.
I know.
What is, okay, you said it before. You are, okay, put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Britney drops this bomb. You're Justin. Let's assume that everything is true. You know, like, you knew about this as Justin. What do you say? Do you think he'd said that to Jessica Biel at any point?
Oh my gosh. If he didn't tell his current partner, if he didn't tell Jessica, they're dealing with a lot at home right now.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm going to hope that he did.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's assume.
Let's assume that he did. But, I mean, I think he thought the secret would never get out.
I think so too.
I mean, the fact that we're talking about this 20 years later.
Straight up 20 years later.
20 years later and no one knew that they potentially could have had a child together is, wow.
But I do think that the way that she has it painted, at least in the short excerpts of this book, he will have to respond.
He will, but I don't want to paint him as the bad guy too, because then I know he did it to her and she had to deal with so much, like the Diane Sawyer interview. Yeah. Everybody pointed her kind of as a slut and had all these bad things to say about her. And we know the paparazzi is bad now.
Ruthless.
During Britney Spears' time, she's the first person that ever had to deal with that kind of paparazzi. There was zero rules. People were in her lives, coming up to her house when she's going through the biggest mental breakdowns of her life. Yeah. So I get them wanting to have this private, but yeah, the fact that it's coming out now, I guess we'll see what he's going to say.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll speak on it?
I think you have to say something. And I think that
it's not going to be no apology video.
My best case scenario for this is, I think that, and I hope this is the case, is that he owns it and just says, this did happen when we were very young. I'm glad that Britney's talking about it and, it's out in the world, and yes, I have regrets too. I think that's really all you can say, right? But kind of harping back on what I think they both alluded to in her section of the book, which is they were very young. Yeah. And I'm sure he'll be like, it was a very hard decision, but it's part of my life and I know what my life is like now. And I think that's all you can say, right?
That really is all you can say. I mean,
you made a decision,
you made that choice, and I'm sure it wasn't easy. I do think their age probably played the biggest factor in it. Yeah. But granted, people have a lot of unplanned pregnancies at any age too. Right. So, but I think that their careers probably played a bigger role for them, just knowing the height of their fame and what that could be for them. And I think that would affect Britney more though than Justin. So I feel like But
also, just because you remember when everything was going on with the conservatorship and we were, we're doing this podcast, we're talking about it every week, all the updates with Jamie Spears, what's going to happen, the verdict. At that time, it felt like, it was almost getting old. We were talking a lot about Britney. I really did think, based on the documentaries, based on everything else, we had seen everything we needed to see. I was like, you know what? I don't need another smear campaign of Britney or her life. But I'm like, I wasn't invested in this memoir. Aren't you kind of now?
Do you know what my problem, though, with all of that narrative? None of that was from Britney's words.
Okay, yeah.
The only thing we've seen from her is her dancing videos, which, sure, we have a few laughs about, okay? We'll be honest with that. But at the same time, we've never heard her speak about really anything except for those Instagram messages. And I feel like this is going to actually be her true self, and we're going to hear it from her instead of some random studio that decided they're going to pull up Jamie Spears' information, pull up whoever random people are giving the information.
Willing to do an interview.
Yeah, and it's at the end of the day, all those documentaries and all of those things about Britney Spears, unless you hear it straight from the source, none of it's true.
Right.
Because anybody can say anything about Britney. Truly. I could go, I mean, okay, if I had a little bit more.
We have.
But really, though.
Yeah.
Like, any of the people that are in her so-called close corner who probably aren't actually looking out for her can feed the media any of these stories that they want to, which is truly what's so sad, because I'm sure some of her most trusted people that she surrounds herself with are willing to, because as long as you're getting the money, you can feed whatever story you want. And we haven't heard from Britney Spears herself. So I think this memoir is the one book that would be worth reading.
From the memoir category, for sure. And I also think, and you said it could be a trailer situation, but you said it with the Instagrams where we have a laugh. They seem a little wacky, seem a little bizarre, right? Yeah. This being something serious, I don't obviously wish this upon anybody specifically, of course not her, but this being such a serious thing is like, it kind of brings me back down to earth with her of like, okay, she isn't there. There is a person. Because I think that for so long we were looking at what was going on social media and we're like, this is bizarre. Yeah. Is she okay? Like, what's going on? But this coming out, I'm like, okay, she is speaking truthfully. Someone's helping her write it for sure, like in an eloquent way. Mm-hmm. But I just hadn't heard her say anything serious in such a long time that it was hard to take. Everything was taken with a grain of salt. Yeah. Now I'm like, oh my gosh. She's back,
Yeah, and some of it makes sense to me because sometimes when I read her captions, it feels almost childlike, right? And in these excerpts that have been released, she talks about how she became semi-robotic and she felt like she was a robot. She was forced to fit into this certain mold, and they weren't letting her make any decisions. So it made her regress even further into being a child and to being a little girl. And so she just constantly fell into that role where she did lose that woman in her, which is why the memoir is Woman in Me.
Wow. Did you put that together, or is that
I should be her publicist.
You should. Full-time job.
No, but I think that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Like the title did make sense to me because she was never able to be that full woman. And I feel like she still kind of struggles with that because she's constantly been told what to do her entire life. I mean, she's been famous since she was 12, 10, even probably younger when she started Mickey Mouse Club and everything. So hearing that, I mean, you hear about child stars all the time and how much that's a struggle to have that in their life. And then she blew up, and the conservatorship is a whole other beast. Yeah.
Some of the other things that came out in the excerpts early on was to that point, a lot about in 2007 when she shaved her head, which, like, I mean, gosh, this seems so long ago, and like Gen Z won't really remember this at all. Like, if you're 18, you won't remember 2007 at all. This was massive headline news. And at that time, we were very young too, so we really didn't know. But all I can remember is seeing those images, like going through like checkout lanes on, like on the magazines in the grocery store.
That was really her mental breakdown is what they labeled it to all the paparazzi and everything. She went into a Tarzana, hair salon and said she wanted to cut off all her hair. And the salon owner said, no, we're not going to do that. Yeah. So she grabs it herself and starts shaving her head. Tons of paparazzi photos of that. And then a few days later is when paparazzi again pulls up to her. So she grabs the umbrella and starts slamming the paparazzi's car. So like that was her big moment. Yeah, that people never forget about.
That everyone was like, she's gone insane. Mm-hmm.
And that was 1 year though before the conservators started.
For sure. Also, the timeline now looking back it's so good to like look back and see this because that happened. She came back and was ripping bangers. Mm-hmm. It's not like it's been then until now that we haven't heard from her or anything like that. Like, she came back. We're talking like multiple albums. Obviously, the conservatorship was terrible for her mental and emotional health, but she like fought back. Like, I don't know. It's just like it's like a great like sports athlete or like a great entertainer. Yeah. Like, she had like these these ups and downs, and it's like comeback stories almost.
Yeah. comeback stories, but I feel like the way she paints it almost is like she was forced to do that.
Forced to do that. I know.
Granted,
yeah.
I think she still is happy about her success.
Yeah.
But I think there's a part of her too that was like, okay, then I had to play a little bit of cleanup, and then I was forced into doing all these tours and doing all those things. Because she talks about how, like, she really lost her creativity as a person because she wasn't allowed. She had to go on stage, act wild, is what she said, on stage, and then must go to these appointments, must do this, must not hang out with anybody else. So it was like this constant control that she was dealing with. But,
Well, I think we see that too later on, like you mentioned with child stars. So many of them rebel because at such a young age, you're so like your rigid schedule and what you need, basically because other adults are making money off of you. So they are doing everything in their power to ensure that you're going to make them money by being on stage, doing more shows, getting in the studio. When, as a young kid, if you don't want to do that, or in a conservatorship, if you don't want to do that, at that point, you don't get a say. They're like, you need to make another album or else.
right.
And at that time, she really didn't have the say to be like, I'm burnt out. I don't want to do this. I just want to be a kid, or I just want to be a 25-year-old or a 27-year-old. And it's like, oh, you can't, or because then we don't make any money.
Yeah. Yeah. At that point, her freedom was out the window for sure.
I'm getting it.
Britney Spears' life.
You got to get it.
Has to be the craziest of them all.
And I will say, you mentioned this before, of the memoir world, this has to be up there with an actual must buy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's other ones that you've been like,
I just hope
like,
they fact check it too, though. Like,
right.
Let's really make sure this is obviously through Britney's words and then her story. And you want to hear her side of the story, but you also don't want to put out random things. Like if she actually didn't have an abortion, I hope that there was
that will
a
be
way.
detrimental.
Yeah, I'm going to believe her on that one. Yeah. But I'm just saying, especially, oh my gosh, you have to rewatch every Times music video with those lenses because that's an emotional watch.
Okay. You heard it here first. Speaking of memoirs, though, the other massive bomb, and this is going the complete opposite direction, I feel at least, I think you do too, is Jada Pinkett Smith, for whatever reason, is going on this press tour for her new memoir, Worthy.
You ain't worthy of this time that we're
it's out now.
Talking to you. Yep, out now. Came out on Tuesday.
Oh, today, where we're filming. I'm like, Tuesday.
She's been doing a press tour that's just unbelievable.
Obscene.
With the Today Show, Jay Shetty. She's been on a few podcasts.
Yeah.
Basically, let's get the word out that Jada Pinkett Smith is about to talk about Will Smith, and let's hear it. The book... Well, first we heard the interview with Hoda and on NBC for the Today Show. That was kind of the first big tease.
Kickoff.
Yeah, the exclusive clips that they were starting to drop with that interview, which you can watch now. The full interview is out now. That just came out on Friday. But if you don't want to read the whole book, why not? But yeah, so that big bombshell that she dropped was that her and Will Smith have been separated since 2016, so about 7 years now. Yeah. And they've been living separately, not husband and wife, but
they're not divorced.
Putting on this facade essentially that they are together,
yeah.
But correct, they are not divorced. Oh boy.
And I think that all of this animosity starts, and for me, and spurs from when the Red Table Talk stuff started, where she and her Willow, I think her mother
and her mom,
signed the contract with Facebook Watch to do that show. And what felt and started off like a very cool thing, I would say at that time, became this unbelievably tell-all about her and Will's relationship and other things that felt much more like a smear campaign or like airing things out that did not need to be aired out about the relationship.
Yeah.
And I think it rubbed me the wrong way. And I think it's rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Well, I think the big turning point for the Red Table Talk, cool concept in general. They have the 3 generations all together, give their input on a lot of people's lives. Cause they've had some really great interviews come out of that series that they had there. But the big one was when Will Smith went on it to talk about the famous word entanglement that she had with August Alsina, which that happened around 2020. And now, as we reflect on that relationship, technically she was not cheating because they were separated. So I feel like that really blew up that whole relationship and what was really going on there. But essentially what she's saying now is that Will Smith and her will not get divorced. They actually have no plans on having any other loves in the future. They are dedicated to each other. And that by writing this memoir, they've actually grown closer, and they're hoping to rebuild, possibly living together. But essentially, she doesn't believe in the husband-wife, which, yeah, that's fine. You don't want to be conventional,
dynamic.
the labels and everything that people fall into
Right.
in life and in society. But she wants to have that life partnership with Will Smith forever. And that's where they currently stand. Granted, though, she dropped a lot of other information in this memoir.
I mean, I just feel like every single person in this generation, for the most part, grew up with Will Smith.
Yeah.
And they had been married for Fresh Prince all the way
in
back.
1997. Right after he divorced his ex, they got together.
Yeah.
And she talks about that in the memoir too, about how apparently a week after that they filed for divorce, he called Jada and she was like, "What's going on?" And he was like, "Well, you're with me now." And they quickly moved on to each other after that. But they've been together for so long, over 20 years. And I feel like they just decided that that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
It's been very confusing, though.
It's been very confusing. And I feel like the biggest hypocrisy that's happening for me is that they are, sure, she or him or whatever, is that they're using this open interface of like speaking on camera to make themselves come together more closely. That's what they're saying. But my thing is that you guys don't seem close. And it feels like you're adding fire to the flame instead of just going to couples therapy.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think that's love of like airing out your dirty laundry and making others feel inadequate. Yeah. I feel like that's something that should be behind closed doors to a certain degree.
I completely agree. I feel like keeping some sort of privacy to deal with that, because her reasoning as to why did you guys essentially play pretend for the past 7 years?
Right.
And she said that they didn't know what they were and they didn't know how to explain it to others. Therefore, we will keep it to ourselves until we figure that out. And now they figured it out, they're in a good place and they can share this with the world, that they're technically separated, but technically want to be together, but technically don't really know, but technically like all these other weird things. And I want to call it unconventional in some sort of way, but at the same time, it just seems like they're confused and they don't want to get divorced because she wants the bag.
Okay,
There's
also,
no prenup.
Okay, that is the other thing that was so interesting to me, is that she wouldn't sign a prenup.
Yeah. Which you hear that classic excuse when people don't want to sign the prenup. Oh, if we were going to sign a prenup, that's just essentially saying that we're destined for divorce at one day.
We plan for failure.
Exactly. Which, sure, I get, but like, prepare yourselves. Just be smart.
But now, if that is your outlook and their same thing of we're not going to give up on the marriage, do you know what the work part of like a partnership like that, marriage looks like, is working it out.
Not having entanglements.
Not having entanglements, not moving out, it's like that is, you have to make a decision of divorce or you have to work hard as hell to make it work. If that's going to be your outlook, you don't have to have that outlook. It doesn't seem like this is the way to come closer.
No, I don't think so.
Also, she was like I said before, she was so much before our time, I feel like, as an actress, as a star. Mm-hmm. Like, I grew up seeing Will Smith in the movies. So when they were married, I was like, she must be famous. Yeah. And it's like, but really she was like, and
she acted too, but
she acted, but it's just kind of like
Will has become the bigger name and is the bigger name.
And so all of this happening has always felt like, to me, over the past however many years, from the Red Table Talk 3 years to this, has felt like her tearing him down. And he consistently looks like the bad guy when I feel like he tries to do his best. And she just keeps making him look like a fool. Like her being like, later in the interviews, she talks about the slap, obviously, that happened at the Oscars. And she goes like exactly what you said. Yeah, it was so weird for him to do that because like we'd been separated, like almost gaslighted him into be like, that's so you like, you cared about me or you, it's like,
okay. Yeah. Let's talk about the Oscar slap. Yeah. That's when Will Smith went on stage to slap Chris Rock after he made a joke about Jada Smith and being bald and ended up being really about her alopecia.
Right.
So Jada goes into it and talks about how she was shocked, and I put that in quotes, shocked. that Will Smith would even do that because, for one, they haven't called each other husband and wife in years, which makes sense according to their separation. And she just was not expecting that. So for him to get up on stage and make this huge deal over something about her. But to me, it feels like Will Smith was maybe trying to prove something to her and wanted to go stand up for her, maybe to save the marriage and try to get them on a better page.
I'm in complete agreement with you. I think that this was an act of, hey, I want to fight for this marriage. Mm-hmm. I want to fight for this love. He was in his own mind, I think, and of course we'll get into Will, he's going through a lot of things I'm sure as well, but he sees this opportunity as, this person just dissed my wife and something that she can't control in this alopecia. And he kind of went off the rails a little bit, right? By doing so. But then she comes out with these interviews, this book, like, what are you doing? Like, ugh. And I'm like, he was just trying, in our perspective, he was just trying to.
I feel like that was his anger coming out on her.
True, also.
When am I going to be enough for you? When are you going to just accept me for who I am? Here I am standing up for you, and I'm still not enough, Jada.
Let's go.
Nobody wants to hear Jada talk, to be honest. Let's just be real with that. Will Smith is the bigger name, like we said. But even if you take who's the bigger name out of it, we don't want to hear all of your dirty laundry that you keep talking about too. Because these are private moments I feel like they should be dealing with intimately. And that's really how you get through the hardships. Like every marriage has up and downs. Yeah. We know that. We're granted, we haven't gone through the marriage thing, but like from people that we've seen, our parents, whatever it may be, every relationship is never going to be perfect. So I just feel like her constantly kind of, if everybody's saying emasculating Will Smith, it just doesn't seem like the right thing to do. And especially if it's about getting these memoir clicks, no one cares.
Yeah. And I'm completely on board. And I really hope that people, I just hope this book tanks. I hope that people don't go and read it.
And though with the Chris Rock thing, though, she said that he did come up to her and apologize. This part also made me mad because she was like, and then Will Smith came to apologize, said he didn't mean any harm. And then Will is still running his mouth. And it's like, who cares if he's running his mouth? He's still angry at what just happened. Yeah. And whatever, we don't know what was going on with Will. That was out of character for him. I feel like he's typically painted in a kind, positive spirited light. And he's very well liked in the Hollywood community in general. So to see that sort of reaction, I think is why we were so taken aback. Because it's like, we've never really seen Will Smith like that. Yeah. So then she said when Chris came over to her and apologized that he was still running his mouth because now he's mad that Chris is talking to her in that moment.
Can I also say, now I'm putting the pieces together a little bit more. Wouldn't you go crazy too if this was your wife? Like, I see Will Smith reacting like this, and I'm like, man, I'd be losing my mind, I think, too. Yeah. For the past 7 years, all this stuff is getting aired out on Red Table Talk. Oh, okay, you want to get your own place down the road by yourself. Oh, like... all these things are happening. It's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like this drove him insane.
It seems weird to have this big outbreak, though, at the Oscars. Mm-hmm. But they've had beef with Chris Rock for years now, too. And also in the memoir, she talks about how Chris Rock asked her out on a date, allegedly.
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently, Chris Rock is sliding into Jada's DMs. That's what she says in her memoir. Yeah. She's worthy of that. And I feel like maybe there could be a little piece of Will that's like, stay away from my girl too. And also I'm going to hit you and keep her name out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just the whole idea of her being shocked that he called her his wife is a little bit annoying, considering that you guys have chosen that path for yourselves, whether that was private or public. Why was it so shocking to you that he would refer to you as that when really you guys are husband and wife, whether you call it husband and wife or life partners? I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's a estranged wife out of your mouth. I don't know. What did she want him to say?
I don't know. And then she also in that moment was like, yeah, I just rolled my eyes because I was like, like when we dissected it ourselves, we can literally find the clips. We said she in that moment looks pissed.
Yeah.
Looks upset. At that point, he says what he says, walks up the stage, slaps Chris Rock. Everything, for the most part, lined up like that made sense.
Their tension
Yeah.
is what caused it.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I was saying like when she rolled her eyes and all that stuff, it felt like she looked insulted.
Yeah.
But she in the book and in interviews is like, oh, I just thought it was a joke.
Which again, making Will Smith to be this crazy lunatic.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, no, you probably rolled your eyes and said, what are you going to do about it? And then he does something and you're still upset.
You're speaking the truth. Yeah, it's like whatever he does, he can't.
He can't win.
No, he can't win.
Will Smith cannot win with Jada. He should have left her a long time ago.
Okay, that's what I was going to say.
He had his chance with Margot Robbie.
Don't even put that into my mind. So much better. But they vowed to do this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about his response to this book coming out in these interviews. He says pretty much
supportive.
The same emasculated thing in support, kind of, that has happened, in past of like, thanks so much for sharing this. Like it's
like eye-opening for me to see all of this. And now
I didn't know you're going through this.
Has more clarity essentially on her. You needed a book for that?
You needed a book to know that she was, staying down the street?
I don't know. I'm just not really buying any of this. They have this little charade that they're keeping up, and Will Smith needs to get out.
It's not going to happen at this point. Clearly, they've made that, very evident. But I wish Will Smith would have at some point, just like you said, divorced her. And just been like, hey, if you don't like what you see, what's in front of you,
What does she have on him?
Oh, boy. Conspiracies. That's a really good point. I don't know.
What is making him stay with her? She's spewing lies about him, or unless Will Smith is this apparently demon person that we have no idea about, and he has all these secrets that he feels like the only person he can trust is Jada, and that's why he keeps around, whether it's romantic or not. I don't know. It's just something is off about this relationship, and I can't put my finger on it.
And I don't need a memoir to tell me that.
A memoir full of lives.
Also,
through her lenses, through her story, through her words.
The whole thing, too, of I don't like the press tour.
That's what I'm saying. How many more stops can we do?
And also, it just feels like she needs to sell this book. They need to sell something. And it's like, why? You guys are so, it seems on the outside like we thought that they're so wealthy. Obviously, we know Will's done so many movies. She's done, obviously, a lot of movies as well in her career. Yeah. But you're like, why? What is the motive to air out your dirty laundry for profit?
Does she need the money and she's trying to bankroll and save up so she can actually divorce him?
No prenup.
No prenup.
But she'd get the alimony.
Yeah, she would. Ariana Grande, smart. Putting in her prenup, you can never write a memoir about me, can't share another private photo of me, can't speak about me in any future interviews for Dalton Gomez. Smartest move. Props to Ariana. Can't stand her, but
this
smart.
is my thing, though, too. What is going on behind the scenes? Do they have the same PR company? Do they have the same management team?
No, they have different managers.
that if I were Will Smith's manager, I would be like, hey, she's a problem.
Okay, he's not going to listen to that. His manager, I feel like his family would be the only one that maybe would be able to do that.
You're one of the kids, Jaden, Willow. They have other kids. Are you not like, hey, mom, chill out on dad? He's literally trying his best.
They had some sources say, which again, won't believe until I hear it through their mouths, but they wish they would keep a few more things private, you think? But yeah, if I was their children, I would be utterly embarrassed.
Embarrassed? I'd be mad. I'd be
mad at Jada, though.
Yeah.
Mom, shut it.
Also,
we already know Dad does some crap, okay?
But just, he's trying.
Cut him some slack. I mean, has your dad or mom not pissed off the other at some point or another? Again, we've talked about this. Relationships have their ups and downs. It's just a reality of life. But do you want to go put it on the front cover of the next... What? How old am I? The next newspaper?
Put it on the newspaper.
The front of the New York Times?
I don't know.
People Magazine.
People Magazine. I'm lost. I don't have any words for him. I don't know what to say anymore. I think it's tarnishing both their legacies. I think it's, I don't know if it's worth the quick buck that they're going to make from Worthy. I don't know.
Sorry.
Exactly. I don't know if this helps Will get in the back, more quickly get in favor in the Motion Pictures Academy of Science. No,
this is not doing anything for them. But what was Will's responses? I'm also kind of confused by them. He posted that one video where he's on a plane and he said notifications off and that he can sleep just about anywhere. So I guess that's him sleeping through the news. He doesn't care? ? And then he posted another video today on Tuesday and it was like, big announcement. And then he sneezes and then it zooms out to all these different layers of the universe. What?
I don't know. I think he's on a different trip than we are.
He's confused.
Also, in that light, Jada talked about how during she had suicidal thoughts, depression, but really what helped her out was ayahuasca.
Yeah,
and how she introduced all of her family to that.
Yeah. Jaden introduced her to it, her son and his friends.
Of course they did.
In their living room. And it changed her life.
They were 20-year-old kids.
So did therapy. She will credit some therapy. Her mom told her to get in therapy because when she was 40, her suicidal thoughts came back. She was trying to figure out how she would make it an accident, look like an accident, if she just said, she drove her car, which is off the cliff. Very serious.
I also don't think that people we've talked about this before, all problems are relative and they are individual to people. It doesn't matter if you have a lot of money, if you have a little money, if you have family around or you don't have that much family. It's all relative. But people less and less, I think, have sympathy for people that are airing out a bunch of dirty laundry and then it feels like a feel bad for me. I don't think people feel bad for Jada Pinkett Smith.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And I don't know if she wants people to come across as that or...
Is that the goal, though? Is your goal to make people feel bad for you?
There's parts of the book that are her interviews that felt like that, didn't they?
I mean, I think there's some, obviously talking about suicidal thoughts, I think that just being able to have that conversation is a good thing. But granted, with everything else that she revealed, it's just...
Ugh.
We don't need to know this much. And... especially with what she's going through in her relationship, it just seems like it's not a good time. With Britney Spears, she has a story to tell. She was in a conservatorship for 13, 14 years. She has a lot of truth that has not been heard from us. She has something that she needs to put in words and write and say to all of us. Jada Pinkett Smith, we don't care.
And
we don't care.
Britney, like you said, the biggest thing is she's never told her story.
Never has.
We've heard Jada's story a million times.
A million times, and apparently they've been lies. We're not in an open relationship. We're in an entanglement. We're together. We're not together. What is it?
We're over it.
I don't even believe you.
So care.
Whatever. Let's move on from her.
God dang. So pick up her book. This is our sponsors, Jada Pinkett Smith's Worthy, out on. No, I'm just kidding. What's next? I lost my sheet.
A relationship that seems to be going quite steady.
Oh, right.
Is our favorites, my favorites, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. She skipped that Vikings game, Minnesota Vikings. So then we thought maybe they might be done. We saw that interview with Donna Kelce, Travis's mom. Thought there might be done, or she didn't like it. But then right after the interview aired, obviously they saw some of the backlash because they were besties in their next game on Thursday night, was it?
Right.
So she was seen with Donna Kelce, with Britney Mahomes, of course, her new BFF. And also Ed, Travis's daddy.
Right.
So clearly together. And then after that, they flew from Kansas City to New York and they had their weekend together.
I'm a little confused on that part.
Okay, give it to me.
Again, I don't understand how off days work in the NFL. I'm totally understanding Taylor and her, their tour doesn't start until 2024, the European leg of the tour.
No, she's going back on tour next month in November. First stint is in Argentina.
Okay, Argentina.
So, yeah, in a few weeks, she's going to be back on tour. So they're trying to fit in every little moment they can.
I get that. I just it's not the logistics thing. I've established people have jets. Totally understand that. I'm just saying, as a big elite NFL player as Travis is, when I see him in New York with her, and I'm not saying they're not cute or that things aren't great. Everything looks great. Looks like he treats her nice. She looks happy. But I'm just saying, how is the team how are they reacting to him being like, oh you're in New York?
What bubble do you live in?
What do you mean?
If your boy was like, I'm going to go fly out to New York for a couple days and spend with, I don't know, the biggest superstar in the entire world, I think they're going to go and let her go.
In the middle of the season?
In the middle of the season.
Did you watch
2 days?
Did you watch the Beckham documentary at all?
Just the parts where Victoria Beckham said that she was poor growing up or something like that.
Whatever. Yeah.
Whatever.
That's literally why he the manager trades him from Manchester United is because he was flying down.
And look, he got a happy relationship out of it.
Okay, if that's what we're going for, then that's what we're going for.
Listen though, with the Travis and Taylor thing, he didn't play on Sunday. Their next game is at Arrowhead Stadium in KC. So his game was on Thursday. He didn't fly out for his birthday, kept it easy, kept it home, then she came to see him, then flew out to New York on their off days. And then that's when they do SNL together. They go to dinner before at Nobu, and then they go to the SNL after party at Catch Steak with Pete Davidson and Madeline Klein. Thought I'd throw that in there.
Vomit and everywhere.
Another dinner at Waverly Inn where they're holding hands. So, yeah. What?
I'm not saying that that's not cute or it's not okay. I'm just saying that I don't think you or I know what the damn rules are for the NFL team. If he has 2 days off, okay, perfect. And can do whatever he wants, that's awesome. I just have never seen it where it's hey, everybody gets these, that's very rare, I think, in season.
But if you're practicing every day and then you're off for the weekend because you don't play on Sunday.
But are they really off the whole weekend? I'm not maybe they are.
Maybe there are exceptions though.
There could be. That's what I'm saying.
Call the coach.
Andy Reid, we're going to need you to call in and let us know exactly when practice started. And I'm saying, I'm just saying as a teammate of his, part of me would be starting to get a little bit worried on commitment is all.
Well, get on the map.
Get on the map.
Taylor Swift put him on the map.
Oh,
haven't you heard? He might be the best tight end, but
what if you're
Taylor yet?
What if you're a dancer for the upcoming tour of Eras and you're like, Taylor, let's start practicing?
She's fine.
I'm just kidding.
She's very well prepped.
You act like you know everyone that's everything that's going on. And they're like, no. He had 2 days off. He's good. And then you're like, no, Taylor's fine. I talked to her the other day.
I think we determined in many of our bets that I'm always right.
It's true. I'm just saying that is
I hear you though. It's come on. Especially you as an athlete, you're like, pull your weight.
Like if you see an Instagram story or you see a Snapchat story from somebody that's like, oh, Travis is in New York and you're in Kansas City, I'd be like.
But at the end of the day, you can have, okay, we're going to take you to your soccer team.
Right.
You could have the biggest partier on your team, but he comes in. This is you though. So you're the big,
right.
You party on Saturday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and you guys have a big game on Sunday. And you come in and you score 3 goals. Are they going to be crying?
No, I'm just saying, how long can you keep that up?
As long as he keeps up his performance.
Yes,
in
completely.
the bedroom and on the field.
Oh my God.
Everyone's happy.
Completely. I was just throwing out there that in my own mind, I'm kind of like, whoa.
Concerned about him in the bedroom.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm concerned about.
He's tired.
He's going to be worn out.
No, I get what you're saying. I really do. I really do. But
you're just pulling my chain. You're just over here like, you're an idiot. Like, I feel like fucking Jada and Will.
You were surprised by weekend getaways with Bradley Cooper and Gigi Hadid. This is just a little weekend getaway for Travis and Taylor. I bet you he's trying to avoid the whole hectic schedules breakup and trying to accommodate a little bit for her.
Makes sense.
Before once she's on tour, who knows what's going to happen with this relationship.
Also, she's never moving to KC permanently.
Is he going to be flying to Argentina to go show?
Well, then we're going to have a real... Because, I mean, like you said, the same thing. If they make it to the Super Bowl, that's through February.
Yeah.
What's going to happen from November to February?
Bet you they're going to make it to Super Bowl.
I'm not going to... I think that's true.
I don't want to...
No,
I want to go against me ever again.
I don't want to do that. But yeah.
It's just too good publicity.
I think so too. And
but I'm buying it.
You're buying it. There's no part of you think is a fluke.
When they get... First of all, Taylor's not going to waste her time on a little fluke, okay? Finally.
Maddie Healy? What was that?
That was her, again, falling for the wrong... Not again, falling for the wrong person.
Oh, shit.
Listen, Travis Kelce is finally understanding the worth that she has. The level that she is at. You need to accommodate to Taylor Swift at the end of the day. Maddie Healy treated her like she was some side piece. Everything was a secret. Nobody cared. Travis Kelce is understanding the assignment, okay? Taylor Swift is a huge name, okay? You're never going to get rid of her fame. She's constantly trying to make sure her partner is comfortable, and I'm sure that's very difficult when you have that level of fame, right?
Right.
But Travis is okay with it all. He's okay with it. They probably waited appropriate amount of time. They've probably been seeing each other for a few months, and now they're ready, and Taylor's not going to just come out with some rando.
I think you're right. I'm just saying that I don't think that it's it's hard to believe that we've taken this long to find that person that needs that person. I'm just saying that I'm in agreement with you of like, of the other guys, I felt like there were other guys that treated her good as well.
Let's cut to the clip of Travis Kelce and Taylor gets out of the car. He moves aside the bodyguard and goes to open the door himself, and then also caresses a little bit of the stomach. But yeah, he makes sure she's okay. And then when they're walking out, he walks out with her. No, just because you have some gentleman capabilities in you does not mean most guys are like that, right? And he also walks her out at the pace that she wants to go. But then cut to clip, Joe Alwyn running from paparazzi because he couldn't handle it. And she's talked about in past interviews, a lot of people end up not being able to handle the fame.
Maybe I'm just jealous because I haven't gotten my shot with Taylor yet.
It's fine. I'm just going to fight you on this.
I'm just saying that I haven't had the opportunity to, fly to New York, make sure that she's okay and everything like that. And I'm just upset.
Have to make it about Dennis here. Well, let me think about me dating Taylor. Actually, I was thinking about me and Travis the other night.
I know you were.
He is looking really nice, though. His outfits?
He's always been like that, though.
I know. But she put him on the map.
But he did a terrible dating reality show.
I know.
Do you think that they often joke about that? How much shit does she give him?
Probably.
You would have to.
I love that we finally saw their PDA though. Him hugging her, holding hands at Nobu. It's feeling real to me. I'm buying it. You're not?
Call me in.
You're on the Kris Jenner train?
6 months. Call me in 6 months.
Okay. Well, we should really call you in March because Post Super Bowl. That's when you'll really buy it, I feel like.
But yeah, I think it's just going to be when there's a certain honeymoon phase that we need to get through.
How is she still so young and dated Joe for what, 5 or 6 years?
Because she was only 27 when they started dating or something like that.
Yeah, I know.
Joe's a weenie. But
Joe and Jada, you suck.
That's for real. That's for sure. Will needs somebody that will treat him the same way Travis treats Taylor.
I know.
But what was the last thing? The last thing was about
their SNL cameos. Those were cute. Whatever.
They were.
Pete Davidson killed it on SNL, I will say.
I didn't watch. I don't know who watches it.
Well, he opened it talking about Israel, of course, everything that's going on with Israel and Palestine and all the attacks that are going on. But he talked about how he's been able to relate to it after losing his dad to 9/11, dying in a terrorist attack. So he opened the show like that. But then, obviously comedy gets involved and he is truly just so self-deprecating. And he does a skit. Essentially, he's being Ken in Barbie and just hits every single thing that we've made fun of him for.
Yeah.
And it's too perfect. Yeah, you have to watch it. It's about, everybody's looking me up as Skeet because of this one person's name that I can't mention. Flashes image of Kanye West. Talks about his mental health. And he's like, how am I pulling all these girls? Just like so many funny things. He's like, I'm clearly the hottest guy in comedy. And it's because everybody's a bunch of uglies. It's just, I think he did a really good job. And then Ice Spice, obviously, was the performer, which Taylor Swift introduced her. And they did a skit, too, about Travis and Taylor and the hype about the NFL and how the NFL's leaning into it. And they're like, oh, Matty Healy. And they hate on him, too. So everyone's feeling that.
I will say, though, he looked really good at Austin City Limits.
Good for you.
I think that you don't like the 1975. That's why.
I've seen the 1975 live.
And?
They were great.
Okay.
And then I learned more about Matty Healy, and not so great.
Fine. I think there's multiple people, too, that would say the same thing about Taylor. There's some people that would be like, oh, not so great.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, her entire thing before Reputation, they said Taylor's Party's Over was trending on Twitter, and that's why she disappeared for over a year. And she got stuck with Joe.
We're dragging him to he doesn't even deserve this.
I don't know really enough about Joe, except for that's Taylor's ex. But yeah, you're right.
What was the last thing, though, that we were going to talk about?
And then, this is just about alcohol.
Oh, right.
Tommy Lee.
Where did that come out?
Tommy Lee was talking to Bill Maher on his podcast. Right. And obviously, massive musician, Motley Crue. I feel like it's pretty big to be into drugs, alcohol, maybe at that height of being a massive musician. But he talks to Bill about how he would drink 2 gallons of vodka a day.
Do you believe that?
I do.
Wow.
I do.
I don't know that I believe all that, but I think that there's some validity to it.
2 gallons? Just think about 2 milk
jugs.
I'm like tipsy off 2.
And he's a skinny guy.
2 little shots.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, 2 gallons.
But they were in that was a different era, wasn't it? I mean.
But also how many hours of a course of time? Because 2 gallons, you wake up at 6 a.m. and you drink until 2 a.m.
You're doing coke.
Manageable.
You're doing coke to thin you out.
I'm sure he was doing drugs on top of that.
Uppers, downers. I mean.
Yeah. That's like sipping water throughout the day. At his level.
Because not that I would know, but I can only assume that when you get drunk, it evens you out.
Yeah. Well, whenever you take an upper, I guess alcohol is technically a downer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So in the upper.
So if the upper,
So you could drink probably way more if you're consistently throughout the day doing cocaine.
Yeah. Because essentially it would just sober you up.
Exactly.
So
But his body in general, when's he gonna, how much longer?
And he talks about, too, because Bill's like, this has to have killed your liver.
Yeah.
And he says, honestly, my health's fine. So
they said that, like, I'm sure, like, the doctor.
keep being an alcoholic is what I learned.
Don't worry about it.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Be a rock star.
Health's always in your favor.
That wasn't the only musician, though, that was making news again over the weekend. We know that in the past couple weeks or so, Maren Morris said that she's leaving country music.
Yep.
Whatever that means, we really have yet to determine it. She just said that all of the things that are going on in kind of old traditional country music, she cannot deal with anymore. But on top of that, it came out that she's getting a divorce from her husband, Ryan Hurd, who also is a country musician.
After 5 years together.
I don't know what's going on, but she is like cutting hard ties, it seems like, on a lot of things in her life.
Yeah. And I honestly thought her leaving country music, with him being a big country star, maybe that would have been a major difference that they disagreed on. Not necessarily because of the genre of music, but maybe political differences.
Yeah. But
he came out with an Instagram post fully supporting her, that she should be celebrated and that we should fully be behind her in this decision. So that's not it. So I'm a little bit at a loss of what it could be, other than the classic cheating or schedules, but they've made their life work for the past 5 years. So not really sure exactly what it is, but she's joining a lot of country star divorcees, Kelly Clarkson, Kelsey Ballerini, Carly Pierce. They did their whole divorcee song at a recent award show.
Emily Ratajkowski said it best.
Divorcing is trending.
Trending. Get a divorce. Doesn't even matter unless you're Jada and Will. Yeah. Don't get divorced ever. We love the tea. Yeah. And then the last one, last couple things is Tom Sandoval recently on, what's that actual show called?
Special Forces.
Special Forces. There was a little clip, and this was filmed months ago, but he just was in disbelief
no one cares.
He didn't understand why everybody hated him for cheating on Ariana.
Yeah. And essentially, he was like, he's like, we're just stupid reality stars. And he's not giving that much, but he talks about how if you went on Instagram, you would just constantly see him and Ariana. And then one of the other contestants was like, who's Ariana? He's like, my ex. And then she's like, I just don't get why it's a big deal. And he agrees. I don't know why it's a big deal. Well, you left out the major detail that you guys were life partners and together for over 10 years. Yeah. And also you cheated on one of her closest friends. So.
It's the whole close friend.
I think that's the big. It's the close friend for me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we know this. There's cheating that happens all the time. There's, breakups, there's divorces. But when it's someone where we had seen on the reality show, two people getting close, like Ariana thought that her and...
We're besties, whatever.
Yeah.
But still, though, just because cheating happens all the time, when you're in it, does that make it any easier?
Yeah, no. When you get cheated on, you're not like...
Oh, it happens to everybody.
It happens every day.
It still feels like crap, you know?
Completely.
So, Tom, give everybody some grace.
And while he was doing this, he was crying whilst...
Also taking a dump. Nobody needed that. Nobody.
Oh, no. And then the last thing was recently... Sophia Bush, who was pretty much known specifically for the OC, right? Or not the what? Sorry.
Sophia Bush is known for One Tree Hill.
One Tree Hill.
She's also in Chicago PD. She's been in a lot of other things since.
Okay, really One Tree Hill.
But she but she dated and married Chad Michael Murray from One Tree Hill too. She's gone through a few divorces. She recently just divorced her husband, Grant Hughes, after only 13 months of being together. But now she's dating someone new. She's on the soccer team, for the women's soccer team. She was?
She's not on the women's national team anymore.
Okay, who is it?
Ashlyn Harris? Yeah. Who was previously married to Ali Krieger, and they recently got divorced, which I'm guessing because there was some cheating.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, a lot going on there. And then there's new love too for Bella Hadid.
Oh my gosh, how could I forget?
That's why I said giddy up, which just did not seem appropriate.
In context, didn't make sense.
Sophia Bush.
Bella Hadid was seen
in Texas
making out, holding hands with, allegedly, this is literally what it is, a good horse rider.
Yeah, essentially, he is a big star in the horse riding industry. They're out on Tuesday, so it's been about a week, and he was inducted into the National Cutting Horse Association Riders Hall of Fame in 2017.
In 2017?
One of the youngest inductees.
It's 6 years later. What's he done since?
Give him some praise. He rides a horse, ride a cowboy. That's what Bella's doing.
But Bella Hadid, I mean, what are we doing?
I don't know how they met. We have zero details if they're actually dating, but yeah, they were kissing, holding hands, walking the streets of Texas. And the headline is literally Bella Hadid is dating a cowboy.
That is the opposite of her aesthetic. I'm just going to put that out there.
But she loves riding horses, so is it really that opposite? She probably met him.
An equestrian?
Riding horses with Kendall Jenner and Bad Bunny.
Can't wait for you guys to see pics of those two next to each other. I think other than that pretty much wraps it up, though.
Yeah, I think so too. At Playing Telephone on Instagram and TikTok, and also full episodes are now on YouTube.
Thanks for watching. Bye.